Good morning. Well, we have a lot going on today, kind of all built up there at once. So we've got to go to Berkey and finish planting our double crop beans down there. They got the straw baled off and we are good to go on that. So that's going to happen this morning. Brock is not coming again for a while, so it looks like I'm going to have to do that, which is fine. I just don't exactly have the time to do it. So I also had one of my seed customers call me yesterday who needs some replant beans. I actually had my sales rep go up and look at the fields that he had. He was really looking for a second opinion on them, and we kind of both decided, yep, these need replanted. So we're getting some beans around for him, and they have to make it to him, which I should do. However, my trailer is in Berkey from when I hauled the double crops down there. So I can't really haul them until I get that trailer, and if I'm gonna go down there, I'm gonna plant the beans rather than just get the trailer and leave. So we're getting them out. He said he might come and pick them up himself if he gets time. I said, okay, or I'll get them to you when I can. And then we also have to finish wheat harvest today, so lots going on. All right, I came up here, we hooked onto our nurse tank here. It's not empty, there's still 250 gallons in there, which is more than I want. We definitely didn't get our radon right this first pass, but we got some of it on. It's okay. It is fully compatible with the ATS and the 28 that we want to put on those. So what we're gonna do is go fill this up, because I really need that sulfur component in there right now and a little more nitrogen. So we're gonna kind of blend it a little bit and fill it up with the other stuff that we need. And we'll bring it back here and hook it up. We're also going to up our rate. Instead of going from like 4 gallons of this product for the acre, we're going to up it to closer to 10, maybe even 12, 11. And that will give us a much higher rate on here, so it should meter it faster and better. Its pump always seemed to work better at higher rates than lower rates. I thought when we put that rebuild kit in, it sort of has helped it, and it's working better now. But yeah, we'll be up to like 16 gallons an hour, because we're doing 1.6 acres an hour. So yeah, it'll flow better. Anyway, machine's clearing the back, so we got to turn this off, disconnect it for now, so we can get this home. All right, we've got our tank refilled. There should be enough on there for about 100 acres. We're got 1,000 gallons. We're trying to do 10 gallons to the acre. We're setting our meter at 16 gallons per hour, because we're doing 1.6 acres per hour. Now we plug it in, make sure our valves are open. Everything's harder one-handed. There we go. And we let her go. We got a drip in our line. We're gonna have to replace that hose. That's no good. Dad taped it up, but it's dripping again. We'll get to that. It's not the end of the world right now, but we'll fix it. Yeah, good to go. So in that tank, we have the there was about 200 or 250 gallons left of my season pass from the Andersons, the pop-up starter that we were using. And I was using that because it's a 6-18-6. It's got phosphorus and potassium in it, and it's 0.5% zinc. And then almost 0.5% zinc. And so my tissue tests were showing me that I was low on potassium and phosphorus and zinc, and I thought, well, let's use that. We'll get it into the plants and it'll fix that. So hopefully it's doing its job. We didn't get the radon quite like I wanted to, but we're getting it used up and on the corn, so that's good. And then my biggest concern right now is sulfur, because I don't have good ways to put sulfur on most of our corn, right? I put a fair bit of this ammonium thiosulfate, which is 26% sulfur, in with my starter. I put like 5 gallons-ish to the acre on with the corn starter. That gives me somewhere around 15 pounds of sulfur, or a little bit under that, which is good. However, sulfur needs to be on kind of in a ratio with corn at a minimum of 10 to 1. So 10 pounds of nitrogen, you need 1 pound of sulfur. Well, if we're putting 200 pounds of nitrogen on, 15 pounds of sulfur is not a 10 to 1 ratio. That's not enough. And I could make an argument that 7 to 1 or 8 to 1 nitrogen to sulfur is better than 10 to 1. So we're short sulfur, and that's something I'm trying to figure out how to get more of it on. I can't do it when I'm side dressing because we use anhydrous. And anhydrous, I don't have any ability to mix sulfur in with it. If we were using 28, I could use ATS blended with it, just like what I'm doing right here. So that's why I feel like I need to get more sulfur up here. Not to mention that this corn, we're planting 250 plus here, right? So we're not fertilizing for 200 bushel corn, we're fertilizing for 250 to 300 bushel corn. So that 200 pounds of nitrogen becomes 250 pounds of nitrogen, and I need even more sulfur. So since I did do some with the planter, but I have not done any since, we're gonna go heavy sulfur on this application. So we put in 500 gallons of ATS, which gives us 5 gallons to the acre of sulfur again, or of that product, which gets us from 15 up closer to 30 pounds per acre of sulfur. And now we're in that 10 to 1 ratio range, and we're not too bad. And then we did put another couple hundred gallons of 28 in the tank, so we're doing like 2.5 gallons of 28, 2.5 gallons of the season pass, and then 5 gallons of ATS. And that should get us to tassel and pollination pretty well. We'll probably make one more application with some more nitrogen because we're not getting a ton on with this one. I wanted to get another 60 pounds of N on through the irrigation at some point, and we'll be maybe halfway there with what we've put on after these two passes. So we'll see. We'll get there. Down at Berkey, let's plant some double crop beans. I did not think I was going to get this opportunity, or have to do this job, whichever way you want to look at it, I guess. It's fine. I don't mind planting the double crop beans. There's other things I would rather be doing, but that's okay. Oil's good on the tractor. We've loaded it up yesterday. They've got all the straw baled and off the field. Let's go. Double crop beans going in July 2nd, 3rd. I'm pretty sure today's the 3rd. 4th? I don't know. What is today? 3rd. Yeah. So now it's not 4th of July, obviously. Anyway, we're going to do the ends and do a couple passes along this side, and then we'll go on a little bit of an angle so that we're never sinking them right into a wheat stubble row, and they're, yeah, it's better. In a minute here, after we get done with these ends, we need to talk about why we're using an air seeder instead of our bean planter. Alright, so we are planting double crop beans. You'll notice that we're using our 30-foot John Deere air seeder. It's a 1990 model number. It's 1990, not year. It's newer than that. I don't know what year it is. There are some significant differences between this, an air seeder, and our 1790 bean planter that we use to plant most of our soybeans, our first crop soybeans. So why would we use this to plant double crops when we don't use it in the spring to plant first crop beans? Well, to understand that, we kind of got to talk about the differences in them, right? So this is an air seeder. It uses a drill style opener. Basically, it's a lot like our anhydrous applicator, which when I am explaining the anhydrous applicator, I say it's a lot like a drill opener. So that probably doesn't help, right? But essentially, there's a single blade that's offset on a little bit of an angle. So it's cutting through the soil on an angle, and it leaves a trench behind it. And then there's a boot behind there with the seed tube attached, and the seed falls down through the boot and it falls into that trench that is behind the single disc opener. On the other side of the blade, there is the gauge wheel. And that gauge wheel is like 3 or 4 inches wide. It runs on top of the dirt, and that's what sets the depth. We can adjust the position of that gauge wheel to the opener blade to control how deep the opener goes. And that's how it works. And then there's a press wheel that runs right behind the boot and the blade to kind of press the seeds down into the bottom of that slot that we made with the opener. And then there's a closing wheel that comes in, a single wheel that kind of crunches in one side of that trench in order to put dirt on top of those seeds. It works. It's simple. It's relatively low maintenance. They do wear and you got to maintain them. But they work. It works really well. Now on our 1790 planter, it has an opener system just like our corn planter does. It has 2 discs, so a double disc seed opener, which forms a V. So each blade is on a little bit of an angle, but they meet in the bottom, and then they kind of spread apart, and it opens up a V trench. And then there is a seed tube that runs down between the blades and drops the seed into the bottom of that seed trench. And then we have a gauge wheel on each side of the openers. So we have 2 gauge wheels per row unit instead of 1. And then we have closing wheels. There's 2 of them that kind of push in both sides of the seed trench, the seed wall, to help close the dirt back in on top of that. The planter style unit is much more accurate and consistent as far as opening the ground up and getting the seed into the ground. 1, you have 2 gauge wheels, so your depth control is much better than on the drill where you have a single gauge wheel. 2, you are you're able to hold both sides of the trench open instead of just one side with this, and so the seed has a much better chance of making it all the way into the bottom of that seed trench and being planted at the depth that you want. And then we have 2 closing discs that push dirt in equally from each side, so you're not popping seeds back out. You don't have a big divot where that opener or that closing wheel ran, leaving a trench on top of the ground like this can do sometimes. So if the corn planter or the bean planter is so much more accurate than the drill, why do we use this? First and foremost is row spacing. So our bean planter, the 1790, is on 15-inch spacings. The air seeder is on 10-inch spacings. Now that 5-inch spacing difference may not seem like a lot, but remember yesterday when I was talking about, or maybe 2 days ago when we were talking about double crop beans and how important it is to get them to canopy quickly and to capture as much sunlight as possible to extend our growing season, because sunlight is what makes beans and we have to be able to get that canopy closure. Well, when our beans are 5 inches closer together in the rows, it allows us to canopy quicker and to close that row in. That helps make more beans. It shades the ground to conserve moisture. It keeps weeds from growing and being so competitive. So the narrower row spacing on late planted beans is a big advantage. Now, early in the year, we've got more time. We don't have to be so worried about getting that canopy closure quite as quickly. We have other concerns with air movement, with disease pressure and those things, and that's why we use 15-inch rows in the spring. Plus, we get that better planting depth control, singulation, and spacing, which we haven't talked about yet, but all of those things are better with the planter, and we like having that 15-inch row in the spring. Sometimes I'll even do some 30-inch rows. We didn't do any this year, but again, we've got more time for the beans to grow vegetatively and get bigger before they need to start setting pods, and to help close that canopy, close the rows in so that we can capture all of that sunlight. Secondly, we're planting at very high populations, right? We're planting at 200 to 210,000 plants per acre, seeds per acre here. And so having narrower rows helps to spread those seeds out in the row a little bit more. And we're again doing that high population because we need to capture as much sunlight as possible. We don't have time to set nodes on these plants because they aren't going to have as much time to grow vegetatively. So while plants per acre is important, what's really important when you're trying to get soybean yield is nodes per acre, the places where pods attach to the plant or leaves attached to the plant. And so we can increase our nodes per acre by getting taller beans growing longer vegetatively, why we plant earlier, or having more plants per acre. And so in this case, where we don't have time to grow vegetatively, we need more nodes per acre. We're going to have more plants to do it. And so that's why we increase our planting population. And the narrow rows helps give each plant a little bit more space. Now, there's another factor here. You know, when we're planting beans in April and in May, we have a ton of potential, and we need to make sure we're doing everything right, because any little mistake that you make can cost you yield. And weather is still the wild card, or the trump card, I guess, that's going to determine whether we have good beans or bad beans. But if I don't plant them right, and I don't plant them into good ground conditions, and I don't do the little things right, it takes the top end off. Is it still possible to grow 60 bushel beans or 50 bushel beans, you know, with an air seeder or something like that? Absolutely, 100%, no question about it. Plant it early. But the more that I can do to do it perfectly early in the year, the better the chances that we're going to have really good beans. It's July 3rd. I'm not going to raise 70 bushel beans here. It's out of the question. It's not possible because of the planting date. So does that mean we don't care about our beans here? We're just not trying? No, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that the little things make a difference when you're really trying to push the yield. When you want to raise 70, 80, 90 bushel beans, you have to do all the little things right. When your goal is to get to 30 or maybe 40 bushel in double crops because the planting date just isn't going to allow those higher yields, the little things don't matter quite as much. So that depth control, especially when we've got plenty of moisture and we're not chasing moisture deep, it's not as important as it is in the spring. The singulation and spacing, because the way that the drill or the air seeder here meters the seed out is underneath that big tank in the center. There's some rollers, and they just kind of spill some beans out, and they drop them down into a little tube, and the tube blows them out a hose all the way into the ground. It's not super accurate. On the planter, we have a vacuum plate that singulates out individual beans and drops them one at a time. Much more accurate. Much better for when you're trying to graze 80 bushel beans. 30, 40 bushel double crops, this will work just fine. So we don't need to be quite as accurate. We don't need to try quite so hard to get 30 bushel double crops as we do to get 80 bushel first crop beans. And then there was the factor of our 40-foot, 15-inch bean planter in 1790. It's 35 miles that way in Waldron. The air seeder was 2 miles over there in our barn at Berkey. So it's here. It made it easy to hook it up and use it and plant it. And you may be wondering, well, why do you even own them both? Well, we have to plant our wheat in 10-inch rows with this style of an air seeder. I've heard of some guys doing 15s for wheat. Not recommended, not something that we would like to do, especially with as many acres of wheat as we plant. We actually used to have a set of box drills, 1560 box drills that had a tandem houk hitch, so they were 30-foot wide, two 15-footers. And those were on 7.5-inch spacing, so we actually used to plant our wheat even a little bit narrower rows than we do now, and we had used those for double crop beans on 7.5s. Works great. But anyway, so that's kind of the why we're using the air seeder, why the row spacing and stuff matters, and yeah, hope that explains it. I have made it around the trees here, the woods. Got all the short rows in front of it and the other side done, and planting these ends. I still have a few beans left in the tender over there. We're gonna go over there and get that empty because we've got plenty of room in our seed tanks now for them. And then I think I'm gonna run the tender back over to the farm and see what's going on over there. I'm hoping my Uncle Jack's around and he can come over here and finish planting these so I can load the trailer up and go home. But if not, we'll come back and finish planting these. Yeah, we used a bunch. I don't know how much is in here, but there can't be a whole lot. If the beans are small, you can get 2 boxes in here, but these beans are pretty big, so 2 boxes don't fit. Good news. Jack's around, so he's going to finish planting this. We got about 30 or 35 acres to go yet, and we're going to be really close on seed. We might run out 2 to 5 acres early. So what? I don't care. All right. He's off. Good deal. We're gonna go load up our gooseneck trailer with all those empty boxes and head home, see how the wheat harvest is coming. Got our trailer hooked up and all of our boxes loaded. Got 11 of them from down here for double crop beans. So we're gonna head back. However, getting some raindrops. Hopefully we did not get them back at Waldron and Dad's still combining. And it doesn't look like this is going to be heavy enough to stop the air seeder from finishing the double crop beans. But it can rain today. I just need it to wait until about 9 o'clock tonight. Because then we'll be done with the beans. We'll be done with the wheat. And that'll make everybody feel better. I mean, we all feel pretty good anyway because our wheat's been outstanding. So there's no complaining. And we got our double crop beans in as early as we ever have. And there's moisture. And we're sitting okay at the moment. There's Dad. They've been out combining for a while now. He's, I don't know, got 5 acres or so to go in this field, and then we'll be moving on to the last 30 acres, which is over there. You see the wheat field over there? That's the one. We are accumulating a pile of boxes here. I got another load. My guy that I'm working with brought a load down this morning, and he's on his way back with another one right now. So another, I don't know, 15 or 20. Every row here is 20, except for this last one that's not full. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times 20 is 160 minus 5. 155 of them there. That's a lot. It's a lot. We still got a bunch to pick up yet. We're getting there, but we still got some to pick up. I do have 2 trucks scheduled for Monday, so that'll take 84 of them. You can get 42 on a truck. I got another 2 more full trucks that we should just get scheduled. So I pulled some sheets out. I'm starting to work on my steel a little bit more. Try and get this next section put up, which means we're going to have to put more the fiberglass insulation. It's kind of my plan. I intended to do it between side dress and wheat harvest. And then wheat harvest was 2 weeks early, so I didn't get that time. So after wheat harvest, but had a few minutes on Saturday, or an hour or 2, that I worked on them. We got them ready to go up. Kind of requires 2 people, but we'll figure it out. I'll leave the truck and trailer parked there, so we're gonna walk back to the farm. Look at that nice flagpole. It's beautiful. Happy 4th of July, everybody. At least those of you here in the States. Happy 4th. Well, I brought Dad's truck over here to the field because I figured he was about done. He was about done. He is done. So we're going to move, and he would like me to run the combine the rest of the day, which is good. I want to run the combine. Got the head unhooked. I jumped out to help unhook the head and get the feeler pads pinned up. And Dad says, hey, I hear something rattling back by the engine. Why don't you go look at it? So I went to look. We got an idler bearing out on the accessory belt, or the alternator belt on the engine. So we're going to have to fix that before we do our last 30 acres of wheat. I'm going to run it to the farm because it's going to be a heck of a lot easier to work on there than in the field here. Right there. That is a problem.
What?
So we got to take that off. It should be an easy one to fix if we have one. I doubt we have one. Oh, look, there's a part number. Sweet. Take that right there. Okay. All right. Here's the problem. I have secured one at our dealer. They have one in stock. Got his hands on it for me, and we're going to go get it. We're going to finish today. Darn it. We're going to finish, but this is going to set us back an hour or two. When I was looking up this part number and noticed that it was $190, I thought that was a bit ridiculous. Turns out it comes with the spacer and the bolt and all of the stuff already on there, so that's a little more understandable. Still plenty, but yeah.
This is a... Grandma made cookies.
Grandma made cookies?
Yeah.
Awesome. We got our belt fixed. Fully. The belt's back on. We're ready to go to the field. Alright, so this is the last wheat field that we've got here. It's a little over 30 acres. 32 maybe, I don't know. Doesn't matter.
32,000.
Dad's bringing the head down here, so we'll get that hooked up. We got both boys with us today. He's got a new tractor, so he's excited for that. It's a 9R with triples. Got it next to his 9RX there, and we got the rest of the lineup down there. A couple 8RXs, nice planter, and field cultivator, and the combine.
900 on this one.
This is a 900.
Yeah.
9570 RX. Scraper special.
What does that mean?
It's for pulling scrapers. Cool. 9R, 9620R. Row crop 9620R, which is weird, but whatever. Anyway, here comes our head. According to my camera, I got an inch there yet. The camera's on the other side, though. Whoops. Well, my Uncle Ron stopped by the field, came to say hi, and the boys were like, can you take us back to the farm? So they gone. All right, we'll finish this by myself. It's fine. Let's see here. Field totals, 17 acres to go, it says. A lot of it's been down in different spots. It's spotty. Like there's a spot here in the middle of the field. On the other ends, there was some over in that draw over there. Just kind of random. It's making things go a little slow here, but we're getting there. It's decent wheat. It's not as good as some of the other stuff has been, but we should be over 100 average when we're done here, which you don't ever complain about that. Soak it up. Last couple rounds, wheat harvest for the year. It's been a good one. This field got better, made it up to 105. It's always that way. We start along the trees over there, the woods in the back, and they're always the worst spots in the field. So, but you have to do them first, and then you get out in the middles here, and it always gets better. It's just kind of the way farming works. The end rows are no good. Middle of the field's better, so your average starts low and gets better as you go. Anyway, that is our corn next to us over there. That is, wasn't the last planted corn, but it was towards the tail end, right before we went down to Berkey, I think. It's always good when the corn gets taller than the wheat, which it is. Everybody always likes to say knee-high by the 4th of July, but let's be honest, if your corn isn't knee-high or is only knee-high by the 4th of July, it's behind and you got problems. I would love for corn to be tasseling by the 4th of July. We don't have any of that this year because we didn't get anything planted in April. But that corn up on the irrigated field that was some of the earlier planted stuff, it's above my head. It's getting close to that point. And if you don't have at least chest to shoulder high corn by the 4th of July, you're behind. Speaking of that irrigated corn, do you know how nice it is to be able to sit here in my combine cab, combining wheat, and not have to worry about the irrigation running or moving it or anything? We just pull it up on my phone here, see what it's covered for the day and where it's at. Working on past 26. Just about finished up in this little triangle in the back here. I mean, we're moving. That's all we want. That's good. 8.5 PSI on our water pressure. Everything's working just like it's supposed to. We're still sitting at 51% on our fuel tank up there. We have not filled it since we started the machine up. Started with it relatively full. Wasn't clear full, but just keeps running. Last pass here. We would have been done 2 hours ago had our combine not broken down on us. But hey, 7:30, be done with the wheat harvest for the year, but for the day as well. That's good. This is good. Done. What a deal. So this was easily the best wheat crop we have ever raised, harvested all of it. And I think coming into harvest, we knew we were going to have pretty good wheat. We had a pretty good idea that, yeah, this wheat looks really good. We've had good weather for it. It should be a good crop. But we didn't know how good, or we didn't expect it to be quite as good as it was. It's awesome. It's great for us. So one other thing that I need to sit down and really dig into the data a little bit. We need to get the grain cart data to compare to the combine and do some post-calibration just to verify what our yields were a little bit more accurately. And then sort of dive into what some of the additional products and stuff that we used did. But it appears, just based on what I'm seeing from the combine, that the things that we did to our wheat to try and push the yield, to increase our yields, worked. Things like the head scab fungicide. We had one field that we did not have enough chemical to put the head scab fungicide on. And I don't know that we saw any head scab there. That's the one Dad combined earlier today. But that was our worst wheat by a fair bit. It was the only field we had that didn't break 100. That tells me that herbicide or that fungicide worked. And the source that I've been using, it seems to have worked. The fields where we used it was our best wheat. we got to look into it a little bit more and look at the strips and the side-by-sides, but preliminary data says, yeah, it was a good idea to push our wheat this year. Took the combine home and came back over to the field here to get the grain cart, and Phil's getting the truck. We haven't talked about it since we've been up here, but look at our clover. It's beautiful. So we spread clover seed in the wheat up here at Waldron because we did not intend to double crop beans here. We did not spread the clover seed down to Berkey because we did intend to double crop, going back to our double crop insurance discussion, which is part of the reason we're not doing more acres up here. Like, we could wait for them to get the straw baled and plant beans here and probably be done before the 10th of July, which is normally my double crop bean cutoff. But we've got a really nice clover stand and all this stuff, and we've already got a lot of beans that we're gonna have to harvest, so I don't think we're gonna do it. We might do 20 or 30 acres across the road from the farm over there just to use up some seed that we've got sitting around, open plot bags and that kind of stuff. It may or may not even get harvested, but we'll use up the seed. All right. Well, Phil's got a lot of wheat to haul around, move around, whatever. He's filling bins. We got those 3 little bins back there that he's going to fill with wheat, I guess. I don't know what the plan is. We've got concrete there on a pallet and another spot. We got 4 posts to put in up at the irrigated field yet. We need to get that done. We still got the corn planter hooked up over here. That needs to get put away. I should wash it one more time. I don't know if that'll happen or not, but we gotta get that put away. We gotta get the bean planter cleaned up and put away, which we might use it a little bit because there's still some beans in it, and yeah, that's part of the seed we're gonna use up here, so we'll have to do that. And it needs cleaned. I would like to work down in the seed warehouse, you know, on the ceiling and some of that kind of stuff. We got field signs to put up. I got boxes to collect. We got a lot to do yet, but nothing quite so pressing, which is good. For now, though, I'm going home. That's it. Have a good night. Thanks for watching. Wheat harvest is done. It was a really good one. I'm happy. Don't forget to like and subscribe. If you have any questions or comments, leave them down below. And we will see you again maybe tomorrow. Tomorrow's 4th of July. I don't know if I'm working tomorrow. I don't know. I might not. I might take the day off. So if I don't see you tomorrow, it'll be Friday, which will be Saturday for you. But whatever. We'll see you when we see you.